Call to order. If you could all raise pledge allegiance for the zoning subcommittee for Monday, December 17th, I'd appreciate it. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you for all attending. Madam Clerk, could you do the roll call, please?
Sure. Roll call of the members of the zoning subcommittee. Councilor Morabito?
Here.
Here. Councilor Rizzo? I'm sorry, Councilor Patch? Sorry. Here. Councilor Rizzo? Here. Councilor Zambudo?
Here.
Here. And Chairman Rotundo.
Thank you.
A quorum is present.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go through several of the items that are left within the zoning subcommittee, and I just want to kind of straighten out my paperwork, so please give me a moment. And what I'd like to start out with is the zoning. We're going to skip around. I'm going to suspend rules if no one has a problem with that. We're good. I believe we have some people here for different issues, and I'd like to help move them along accordingly. So to start off, we're going to start off with number 6, which is 18-330, an ordinance further amending the zoning ordinance of the City of Revere, repealing Section 17.16280, a retaining wall ordinance. Does anybody have any proponents?
Mr. Chairman? So very briefly, I don't think this is a very contentious change. All we're looking to do is go with the state code as opposed to what had changed at some point. For reasons, I believe, unknown to anybody, the current city engineer does not have a problem with going with the state code, from what I'm told. So he obviously isn't here as an opponent, so clearly, just by him not being here, that I believe his testimony to what I was told, that he was okay with it. Councilor Novoselsky may want to weigh in. At the last zoning subcommittee meeting, he concurred with the recommendation of not having to go with engineered plans for a 3-foot retaining wall, to go with the state code at 4 feet. But I think, and he can elaborate on this, but he wanted to have it just say we are coinciding with the state code, and I'll let Councilor Novoselsky, offer his remarks, because I'm not 100% certain. I think that's what he wanted to see. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Councilor Novoselsky.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Even though I'm not a member of the committee, I just have a thought on this, because if people go into our ordinances and see nothing, they don't know to refer to the state code. So what we're doing is being upfront and putting it on black and white. Listen, we don't have a regular ordinance, but we are going by whatever the CMR is from the state, and put that in our ordinances so people can go in the ordinance and say, oh, okay, I have to go to the state CMR, whatever it may be. Now, I know the clerk has been searching this out and trying to get what it is, just to insert and to show people it's like a similar to the one-stop notification. They go there instead of having to guess what's next or bother the building inspector. It's right there, black and white, of what our ordinance is. So that's my thoughts on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Novoselsky. Councilor Zambudo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I certainly support this. However, I'd like to see a letter at some point. Maybe we can pass this with the condition of a letter from the city engineer. But anytime we're going with the state building code, I don't have a problem. However, some 3-foot walls need engineering plans if they're structurally holding a lot of weight back and stuff. So I'm good with going with the state building code, obviously, but I'd like to see a sign-off from the city engineer. So if we can pass this with a condition of a letter from the city engineer, and make me happy.
So
thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Zambudo. So what we're going to do is I'm going to put this forward under the condition of certification by the building inspector and engineer with accompanied language. Can we do that? So then we can't do this. We're going to have to keep it in committee because we don't have the language, and that's the bottom line. We can't refer to the state code, can we? Because that's visible language, that we replicate the state code, that the current ordinance refers directly to the state CMR.
Mr. Chairman, we could pass it, and then, we don't have to make it a condition. We're sitting here talking to each other now. When we have the information, we can put it,
Right, but we need to
we can
have.
amend it again. We'll just
Correct,
say
but
we're
we
going
need
to.
the actual, from what the clerk is telling me, and my thought is that we need actual verbiage in order to put in, to codify tonight. Otherwise, if we don't have anything. So my thought is that we basically use the language within the state code, and then we amend it accordingly thereafter. Yeah, we in agreement?
I'm fine with that.
That sounds good. Madam Clerk?
Thank you. As a suggestion, if you didn't want to wait for this evening, you could put something to the effect of, instead of striking the entire ordinance from the record, as you discussed, just right, please refer to Massachusetts Code of Regulations. There wouldn't be a specific code of regulation to refer to, though. Retaining walls.
Right, and then when we get the specific language, we can add it later. I mean, we're saying right there, based on the clerk's recommendation, refer to the state code. We can get into the semantics afterwards.
So
about
the language shall read underneath the current ordinance, please refer to Mass Building Code related to retaining walls for further instruction. That's it.
Just
Sure.
a clarification, Mr. Chairman. So we're not going to take the title out of it. We're going to leave the title in there and just put all this information
Right, so
inside.
therefore the bottom part is what the actual
So
law would be.
we're actually amending it, not striking
Correct,
it.
correct.
Okay, thank you.
No. Rules we have here is a special permit
Sure,
application
point of
for.
order, we going to rule on that?
We don't need to, if you want a roll call, I can.
No, I just, okay.
It'll go to the committee as a whole, the council as a whole. Next order of business, as we're on suspension of rules, number 718-371, a special permit application of a Cellco Partnership doing business as Verizon, McLean Middleton Law Firm. Are you present, sir? And this is related to installation of a small cell antenna on the top of a utility pole at National Grid 2872 on 243 North Shore Road. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the Zoning Subcommittee. For the record, my name is Victor Manugi, and I'm with McLean Middleton Professional Association, 900 Elm Street, Manchester, New Hampshire, here tonight on behalf of Cellco Partnership doing businesses, Verizon Wireless. At the council meeting, we appeared last time, and some questions were raised. Councilor Keefe requested that I bring in a sample antenna. So I brought in the sample antenna. It is behind me. If you'd like me to put it somewhere else, I can. But that's the actual size. Price tag? I don't know. Do you gentlemen know the price tag? No. I don't know the answer to that. It's fully loaded, and you saw him carry it. It's very light. It just needs to be connected to those red things on the bottom. I don't know how that works myself. But this is the actual size that's depicted in the drawings we submitted. So this antenna is 12 inches in diameter and 38.7 inches in height, and that will sit at the top of the proposed telephone pole. I won't go back into other things I did last time, and there was another request about entering a agreement with the city. what we refer to in the industry as a municipal MLA or a municipal leasing agreement. So I took that back to Verizon. Before I say anything else, this is the only one we have right now pending. There, I'm sure will be more down the road. Verizon told me to report that they're open to discussing a municipal leasing agreement with the council through your city solicitor. Currently, they only do those for municipally owned properties. So they want to enter MLA for those and/or a streamlined permitting process. There was some discussion about the applicant that's going to speak behind me having a similar agreement with the city, and I'm told, I haven't read it yet, the proponent for that petition is going to give me a copy later, but I'm told that they, Extenet, are paying a small amount of money annually to the city for non-city-owned poles. So right now, their position is they only do it for municipal poles. But what's happening in the industry right now is in September, the FCC approved a new rule aimed at speeding deployment for small cells for 5G, which will be coming down the road in hopefully a couple of years. And that FCC order becomes effective in early January. The industry, and Verizon included, is doing new lease agreements with cities. They have a draft lease agreement that I can circulate with your city solicitor, and I would hope that we could get this one approved tonight with the thought that when we come to you with a municipal lease agreement and negotiate the terms, that at that point you can express to Verizon that you'd like a stipend amount for non-city-owned poles and work that into that agreement if they agree. But right now, they didn't give me the authority to do that for this one. And I'm hoping, given the time of year, you'll approve this one and we can go forward with the others and try to negotiate a deal that's
Sure thing.
favorable.
With that said, what is the proposed plan for the future, sir? How many do you have proposed for 5G within the area? How many do you currently have for 5G within the area?
Currently, we have 3 that we've already...
Are these your engineers?
Yes.
Gentlemen, could you come to the podium, please? So what's the square mileage that you have to cover here, do you know?
So each small cell roughly covers about a quarter of a mile. Currently, we have approximately 3 proposed we're just waiting on licenses.
And are you targeting more the beach area?
I believe a few of them are along Route 1 by Wonderland train station.
Right. That's the beach area.
Okay, not entirely familiar
Sure, of
with
course.
the area. Aside from that, we don't have any further knowledge or future knowledge as to what could be coming down the pipeline. We really get those sites as they become available through Verizon. So I have no way of gauging, what, may come in later 2019 or 2020 for that matter.
So they don't give you any future
So
forecast?
as sites become, or areas become a source of...
Hotter.
Exactly.
So this could be pretty much one and done?
I wouldn't necessarily say that, but I would say that...
Your initial
as far
reaction gives me that inclination.
As far as our knowledge of what sites are going to be proposed, we don't know. We just know what we have in our...
Okay, that's fair enough.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I just have one question.
Please, sir. Councilor Powers?
When do you expect that the city of Revere would be getting back an offer of mitigation on future installations?
After this.
Do you have a time period?
After this, and when the new FCC order goes in place, I believe it's effective January 9th, we will, through Verizon, submit a proposed municipal lease agreement for any future installations in the city.
You're talking sometime in January?
Yes, to submit a proposed municipal lease
All
agreement.
right, thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Councilor Novoselsky?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sir, is this the exact width of a telephone pole? Or is it bigger?
It's, I mean, it's roughly the same.
It's roughly the same as
Same.
what,
It's roughly.
do you want to state your name?
Sure.
Company?
My name's Steve Del Sono. I work for Structure Consulting out of Arlington, Massachusetts. I mean, the diameter of the antenna, it closely mirrors the diameter of the telephone
diameter of the
pole.
pole.
It's like
Now,
plus or minus an inch or so.
Are there tie-in wires that go to this, or is this a standalone issue?
It's standalone, any wires go up the side of the pole to the antenna.
And where those other wires go to?
So starting from the bottom of the pole up, I'll tell you the whole design. So at first, there's a 8-foot clearance from the ground required by the utility providers. Then there's a utility meter. Right above that, there's the 100-amp service. And above that are two rectangular remote radio heads, one on each side of the pole. And then the wires go just right up the side of the pole to this.
So there's nothing that goes from pole to pole?
No, it's straight up, and down.
Okay, good. Okay, thank you.
I see no reason to believe the issue, and I'd like to move forward and pass this. We in agreement? Madam President, would like to rule this out. Madam Chairwoman Clark, yeah, I'm slipping today, huh? If we could rule that out favorably, thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, gentlemen, I appreciate your time. Next on the agenda is number 8, 18-372, a special permit related to James S. George, Network Building and Consulting of 100 Apollo Drive, Chelmsford, resulting in permission for the Revere City Council to install a cell tower or antenna on a utility pole located at 12 Furnace Street. Go ahead, sir.
Sure. Good evening. For the record, James George, on behalf of Extenet Systems, with the carrier AT&T Wireless coming forward this evening. The proposal that you have in front of you, the special permit we seek, is for an existing wood utility pole on South Furness at the intersection of Park, up in the hill area. It is a significantly dense residential area in the city. They have macro sites around, but this is a target area for them. The installation is going to be quite similar as my brothers over at Verizon. The antenna is similar to that. It's slightly smaller, but not that much, but it's the same height, and it is the same dynamic as that particular thing that's on the table. So they all pretty much look the same. This particular pole, we have the National Grid license as well as the Verizon license. We have the contractual right to be on the pole, and we have the agreement with the city. I started with mobility with the agreement, and we pretty much mirrored that. And that's the way your solicitor approached this. So we do have an agreement with the city. You will get recurring revenue for this particular pole. And with both licenses, we have the structural. National Grid does a structural. When they issue the license, the pole can support this particular appurtenance. Again, the design and how you plug it in is exactly the same. That goes on the top of the side of the existing pole on a bracket. The coax is connected into the red plugs on the bottom, comes down the pole, and it connects into both the meter and the radio heads that are on the pole. There is no released ground area on the sidewalk itself. All appurtenances are on the existing pole itself. So there's no ground space. The licenses are solid. The structural is solid, and the look is almost exactly the same as what's on the table. You're welcome.
Any member of the committee wish to speak or have any issues? With that said, I'd like to rule favorably and rule this out of committee. By the nods on the committee, we're in agreement. Madam Clerk, if we could put that out for, thank you. Favorable.
Very good, thank you,
Yep,
sir.
thank you. Councilor Keefe, do you want to leave this on the table regarding 18231, or do we have any language that you might want to propose?
No, Council Guanasso and I are going to be.
Still working with the solicitor?
Meeting with the solicitor to try and map out a program for, hopefully for 2019.
I'm doing the same thing with 18304 with Frank Stringy. So with that said, Madam Clerk, I'd like to leave 4 and 5 on the table. And I believe we're going to remove 9 in its totality. So, yeah, exactly. With that said, this will end the zoning subcommittee meeting. Does any member have any questions, concerns, or, thank you very much. Thank you all for attending. Good day.